Okay, Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and you just saw there some scenes from the No Kings protest that's been going on around Babylon the Great. And this all went down this past weekend. They had previous No Kings as well, especially once Trump was inaugurated. And there have really been protests just about weekly for a while, all protesting the Edomites being in power. And so you've got this No Kings protest, which they're saying it's one of the largest, or is the largest protest in U.S. history, which is, it's beautiful because we're seeing the division, which we know that a kingdom divided can't stand. We're seeing people coming out against Esau Edom himself, which are just the powers that be, so-called Caucasians and these small hatters. We're seeing people going against them, and we're really seeing the downfall of our enemy in real time. And it's beautiful. But there's also, so there's the No Kings protests here in Babylon the Great, but there's also these Gen Z protests that are going on globally. And all this lets us know that Yahweh Shai is coming back quick, coming back very soon. And so I just Googled Gen Z protest around the world. And from the AI overview, it says Gen Z protests are a global wave of youth-led demonstrations driven by issues like economic inequality, corruption, and government responsiveness. And, this is all just the wicked bearing rule, the wicked having authority in this earth, because they are corrupt, they are violent, they are basically the worst people that you could have in charge over the whole earth. Since these protests have occurred in countries such as Nepal, Madagascar, and Peru. So you're seeing it, Asia, Madagascar is off the coast of Africa, and then Peru is in South America, around the world. And I would even throw these No Kings protests into these Gen Z protests. This is often sparked by specific events, but fueled by broader discontent over declining living standards, job insecurity, and political corruption. Social media has played a critical role in organizing these movements. And as the scripts say, as the king, so are the people. So you have these Edomites, so-called Caucasians, and these tiny top wearing people that are in the Lord's land calling themselves the Lord's people. You've got them in rulership, and so in these other places, you have corruption. As the king, so are the people. Because you have a corrupt nation in charge, which the other nations are going to follow after and be just as corrupt, if not worse. But moving down a little bit, we'll see what Wikipedia has to say. It says the Gen Z protests are a series of worldwide protests predominantly led by Generation Z, which are the younger people in the world. While members of Generation Z have been involved in protests since the 2010s, the trend in demonstrations began with the Aragalia in Sri Lanka in 2022. The 2025 Nepalese Gen Z protest popularized the term Gen Z protests and inspired further Gen Z protests in Asia. Days later, similar protests spread to Africa, Europe, and South America, all around the world. And let's go to the scriptures, which is going to start out in 2nd Esdras 9, but we got to go to that Proverbs. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. The righteous are the Israelites by blood, by seed line. And those are the rightful rulers on this earth. under Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, under King David, and the 144,000 who are all Israelites. That's the righteous rulership, and we are not there yet. But we're coming to that time when there's going to be peace on earth. The only time we've had it previously was when Solomon ruled, which his name goes into peace, the Prince of Peace. But Yahushua is coming back to bring that peace. But first, he has to remove the evil, wicked rulers that are in power currently, because they are continuously gathered for war. They are insatiable in their greed, which brings corruption. And they're the wicked. The wicked aren't supposed to be in rulership. They're here as an example to show what happens when the rulers are wicked and corruption comes on this earth. But once Yahweh Shai comes back, he's going to put that evil away from us. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and verse 4, are the Edomites, these so-called Caucasians and these tiny toppers. But when the wicked beareth rule, so when the Edomites are in rulership, the people mourn. And we're coming to the end of their rulership. We're coming to the end of their world. And the signs of people protesting all over the earth, it goes into that. That's why this is occurring, because we're at the end of the wicked's rule. 2 Esdras 9 and verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and that's what we're seeing. We just saw Gen Z protests going on all around the world. And then we also know there's earthquakes that keep coming, and they're coming stronger and stronger. There's that one in Russia not too long ago, maybe 2 months ago, where they had the tsunami warning. There was one in Indonesia recently. It was 6.5 on the scale. There's one in the Philippines at 7.4. And yeah, they're occurring more and more often. And they're becoming more dramatic, more intense as well. There are uproars of the people and earthquakes within this world, which lets us know that Yahweh Shai is coming back very soon. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Esau's world goes out through violence, because they brought so much violence. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. It's going to go out very violent. So you are going to have these earthquakes. That's a form of natural violence. And then you've got uproars of the people, which it's still peaceful at this point. But you see here with these No Kings protests and what's going on, you see that they're trying to bring out troops. And this is only going to escalate and escalate. It's going to get further and further until there is violence everywhere. It's going to be the most violent time of all time. 2 Esdras 15 and actually let's start at 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. These clashes are going to turn violent, thus saith the Bible. For there shall be sedition among men, so rebellion and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes. No kings protest all across America. They're not going to regard them at all very soon. It's not going to be peaceful eventually. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. We are watching this snake eat itself. We're watching This kingdom divided not be able to stand. And this is ultimately going against the elite. Because they're the reason behind the corruption in this world, the greed in this world, the violence in this world. And they're trying to bring about a new system, and people are seeing that as well. They don't want any part of that. Job 20 in verse 18, speaking to the elite, that which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away a house which he builded not. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so that they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. They've stolen whole heritages, and that's why you say all these Gen Z protests are happening from their oppression. It says, although the causes of the protests differ per country, they have generally been in response to inequality, declining standards of living, corruption, democratic backsliding, and authoritarianism. Social media has been a common tool of activism and coordination. Some protests, like in Bangladesh and Nepal, have resulted in the overthrow of national governments. And that's what is coming. It says, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor. Inequality and, living standards back and declining standards of living. Corruption, democratic backsliding. Yeah. This is why. Because you're an unjust, corrupt people at the head, and you're about to be taken out by Yahushua. It says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. They're trying to bring their NWO, but it's not going to stand a chance. It's going to fall, because Yahushua's coming back. It says, there shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And that word goes into the laborers. That's what you're watching. The laborers standing up. And eventually this is going to be violent protests. It's not just going to be these peaceful protests. And even it's talking about Nepal. The government got overthrown there. We're going to be seeing more and more uprisings of the people. We're coming into that day. And ultimately, we're waiting for Yahushua to come overthrow these Edomites, to take them out of power, and for the Israelites to get their hands on them. Thus saith the Bible. That's what's going to happen. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakach, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.